action. I was a teaching assistant for a class that was a general education environmental science. So people who were not interested in science or climate change took this class, and rather than speaking statistics or showing really alarming videos and scaring people about stuff that's happening far away, it was based a lot in personal reflection and asking questions that were centered around, like, what was your personal experience of water or soil growing up, and creating that personal story around a topic in climate that's being affected by climate change, so that if you have a personal connection, a personal story, you're more likely to enact change in your everyday life. So they're funny questions to ask yourself at first, but really a focus on that personal reflection, and that's something you can do from age 5 to 25, between that whole range, to really jumpstart and spark that interest in your role as a global citizen.
Thank you very much. Let's take the last round really quickly. Last round, of course, we didn't have a chance yet to comment. So I think you and the two ladies here, I'm sorry, you already commented, so okay. So there's two young ladies, and then we will conclude.
Hello, my name is Sarah. I attend Boston University. And I have a couple of thoughts. The first, I would like to just kind of stress the importance of this issue, because I think it might be slightly overlooked. And that is that, yes, as an international community, we have made progress. I think the Paris agreements are wonderful, but generally speaking, they're not going to do enough. They're not binding, and the current targets are not going to keep the planet from rising more than 2 degrees Celsius. So going off of that perspective, I think the real question is, how do you get the international community to respond, especially as a youth, and what role is the youth's responsibility in trying to motivate their own government? And my own thoughts are really that a government needs to be motivated by the youth, because clearly they have not been motivated on their own. We have known about climate change and its impacts since the 1970s. And this has not been solved or resolved, or nothing really comprehensive has been done to go forward. So my thoughts are that students need to become involved in the conversation from the get-go, and need to be the ones pushing for policy from their government. And yes, it's good to involve them at the international level, to bring them to these talks at the UN. But at the end of the day, policy decisions aren't really influenced by the speakers that you have there. They're influenced by the policy of your government. And a nation is not able to change their policy based off of a speaker that they heard, because they represent the nation and not themselves. So my thoughts are to involve youth as much as possible at the base level, and also to contact them at that base level. Youth are generally, the way to contact us, I would say for my generation, is through social media. Every day you wake up and you scroll through Instagram, you scroll through Twitter, you scroll through Facebook. If there was a larger social media presence about the international issues, particularly climate change, I think we would be more responsive to it, because it would be in our language that we use nowadays. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah, and I'm a grad student at GW University in DC. I wanted to address number 4, specifically about philanthropy and youth leadership in philanthropy. I don't think anyone else has really covered this. I'm sure some of you know about the Giving Pledge, which is basically a billionaire's pledge to give more than half of their wealth to charity. And I think us as youth, we need to engage this, and we need to take on this issue. So instead of traditional donors and these traditional organizations kind of reaching out to billionaires and asking them to donate, and themselves kind of channeling where the funds go, I think we need to engage people of our generation and wealthier people. There are a lot of wealthy people that are our age in Silicon Valley, as I'm sure in other global tech hubs. And I think we need to form coalitions and groups to talk to these people about the issues we're interested in, so that we can not only control the funding that we get and what we do, but also control where the funding goes and what we want to see with it.
Thank you. Super interesting idea. Okay, so I think due to the time limitations, we will conclude now. I just wanted to just a few points, and then Tim will talk about the report, the points that he captured. And in case he forgot something, you will remind him, and then we will close. I just wanted to thank everyone because it was really interesting and lively discussion, much better than usual panels. Maybe because the young people here are more dynamic, because really people are interested. I'm really pleased to see so many people interested and covering, in my view, all of the points from high-level participation in international processes to domestic political action to on-the-ground work in their communities with younger even people, to local, to fundraising. Very interesting points. I think, I hope we can distribute the report afterwards so we all can take it up and think of how we can use these interesting ideas in our own work. Whether it's programs like us working with youth, or Equator Initiative, or you, the young representatives of young generation working, and very interesting ideas on social media, on fundraising, so I hope that would be useful for everyone, and we will share it as widely as possible. Miroslav, would you like to add something?
I would only like to thank everybody and to say that if you have a little bit of a musical talent, then please prepare yourself. We will have a call for music soon, and it's really, music is magic, and it is connecting the hearts of the people beyond national boundaries, religious or linguistic boundaries, and somehow my message is that music can really contribute to saving the world, and we have to act as a global community, and so if you have musical talents, please sing with us along a new song of global community.
That's great. Let's now give word to Timothy to say what he, maybe to talk a little bit of what he captured for the report, the main points, and in case he forgot something, you can add it, contribute.
All right, thank you for those who specifically flagged a question for your comment and had a comment that was directly related to it. I did my best to plug in other comments that did not do that, but this is admittedly a little bit messy. So what I will do for after the closing plenary report back is actually clean this up, organize it, and then we can share it to the list of participants. So that will be the nice version, which is important to me.
Did everybody sign up to the list of participants? No.
Yeah.
Make sure you've done that or you won't get this. But for reporting back, here's the summary, sort of question by question of what was important, and I'll stop for a moment if anyone wants to add something in. And a lot of this, of course, overlaps. For question 1, we had a lot of really good examples about youth who are actually engaged in projects for sustainability, whether that's solar panels or education or other avenues. So for purposes of this report back, to acknowledge that there's a lot of good youth work that's already going on the ground for contributing to climate action. And I found it a particularly salient point that youth are not only the recipients of education, but they're also indirectly agents of education because, for example, my parents would know nothing about climate or sustainability if I hadn't brought it back from college to them. So all of these youth are contributing to action as well as benefiting from the education. Any other points on that one? Excellent, moving on. Question number 2, we had a lot here on the resources, and I'll put more meat of the summary here, but we touched on youth need the education to enable them to be able to engage. They then need means of participation so that once they have that knowledge, they have that enthusiasm, where do they go with it? And so conduits would be NGOs at all levels, so local NGO, national, having youth delegates, making sure that we actually have a better political infrastructure to support youth delegates. You know, the Netherlands can have their youth delegates because they actually have a subnational political process to elect them. We don't have that in many other countries, and so there's even some more prep work to be done there. And importantly, they need recognition that their voice actually matters. Any other points to add on to that?
Possible dedicated funding for
Yes,
these initiatives?
Absolutely, yes, thank you. And definitely the dedicated funding streams. That's extremely important. Seeing none, number 3. Question 3 boiled down to we need the youth engagement support network, and a lot of those measures that we were just describing you would achieve through number 2. And models for sustainable funding was an important theme as well, and also from yours. Thank you for giving us a point to have on the philanthropists, question number 4, because I was going to say, we don't have anything for that, but no. I think if we're doing a lot of the improvement of structures and organizations that we talked about, that would exactly contribute to the very good recognition that we need better structures for approaching these philanthropists. They're there, the money is there, but we need to be able to get in contact with them. Number 5, this was art, music, and social media. Really good ones here. We had some concrete examples of the music competitions, of the video competitions, but really importantly, how social media is a means for substituting for the need to travel, and so making up for some of those capacity gaps. And it's also a way, I think, of providing recognition for the work that people are doing, so that you don't have that frustration of, oh, I'm in a vacuum, you know, what can I do? Oh, well, other people are doing this. So there's a lot of collaboration that can happen through that. And I think also the very good points about we need culture change among young people. That's going to happen through art, music, and social media as well. And also the creativity in terms of how we're providing educational materials to make them more accessible. And finally, UNFCCC context. That was, again, mainly my proposals on youth delegates, funding, again, specifically to bring youth to these spaces. But I also really appreciated the comment about bringing that back down to the national level, because that is where country positions are determined. And it's really about how do we connect all of these dots. We are doing great things internationally, nationally, locally, but how do we integrate those efforts? And that would really be useful for youth engagement in the UNFCCC.
This is great. I think most of the points were captured. You will have a chance to contribute more. This is just for reporting for the panel, main panel? Plenary. Sorry, and then that would be shared, and we can make more contributions. And well, thank you very much for this great participation. It was very good to meet you all. And well, before we continue.